Well, good day, everybody. Happy Thursday. Breon Davis DeVell coming at you. I went down to the protest on Sunday, and I will say that it was very, very inspiring. It was empowering, it was uplifting. There were so many people there. I think the numbers came in at about 70,000 people throughout the day. I would say that there was definitely that many people down there when we were down there. There were at least two roads that were both parallel. Blocks and blocks and blocks, maybe a mile back on both sides, and they converged. And then we walked around toward the front of the T orange face tower, and there were protests in front of that. It's just kind of an eyesore in Chicago, and everybody that I know that walks by it just kind of grimaces. It is an absolute incredible privilege, empowering, inspiring to go to one of these protests, go to one of these rallies, go to one of these places where you feel like you're not alone. And I think that that's the important message. And I think before I went there on Sunday, I had these daily feelings that I was committed to overcoming in terms of anxiety, fear, feeling in places like I felt alone, like I felt like I was in this space of, how do people not get this? How do people not see, 70 million people, I think, voted for Kamala Harris. Why are there not 70 million people out in the streets? And they say that 3.5% of a population, when they come together, can overturn a authoritarian regime. I've also heard people say that that there wasn't something that came out of this. There wasn't a result, or it did nothing. That is absolutely not true. On a personal level, if I just go to the microscopic level of how it made me feel connected. It made me feel inspired. It supported this feeling of community in a way that made me feel not only alone, but also made me feel like I was a part of something bigger. And it reminded me, and I'm going to tell you a story about a woman that I met that day too. It reminded me of moments in my life where I felt so unstoppable. I remember flying to the Amazon jungle to shoot Embrace of the Serpent. And it was one of those moments, and I've had many of these moments in my life, where no matter what, the stakes are really high. And no matter what happens, no matter what experience that could come of this that may not be good, it made me feel like I was a part of something bigger, and that didn't matter. So right now, I don't know if you guys know, but I do a job that I don't really love. It's something I keep separate from my life experience. It's something that I don't share a lot, and I'll probably start sharing a little bit more about that as we move forward. And every day that I have this job, because it's a transition job, I go in and I shift my energy deliberately. I make it about the client. I make it about the experience, so that I can be in a positive space. I know it's not where I'm supposed to be right now. It is where I am, and therefore it is where I'm supposed to be, so there are lessons learned, right? It is also providing something very special for myself and Charlie. It is creating some stability. So for that reason, it's good. It also allows me the freedom to do the other things that I want to do. So with that in mind, I go into this job quite often forcing myself to shift, forcing myself to be in a positive space, shifting how I relate to the circumstances. And that works. I understand that it's a necessary means to an end. But my anxiety is sometimes through the roof. When I say anxiety, I don't mean, what I mean is it feels like I'm not supposed to be doing what I am actually doing. So I'm committed to shifting that. I'm committed to changing that. If you need clarity on that, let me know. The point is, when I went down to that rally, I felt like I was a part of something bigger. I felt like I wasn't alone. I was empowered. So no matter what happens, I felt like I was moving forward. I felt like I was a part of something that matters, and that's it. I'm a part of something that matters. It matters to other people. It matters to community. It matters to my rights. It matters to my life, my freedoms, my experience. It matters to the educational process of our country and our neighbors. And I share that with you, and I'm going back to when I was on that airplane going to the Colombian Amazon. What passed through my mind were some fears, right? Like I could get a worm that ate my foot, right? I could fall off a cliff. The plane could, I landed in El Salvador. Something could happen there. When I was flying, we flew into Mitu, Colombia, and then I took a 2-hour Jeep ride with a gas tank that was feeding the Jeep in front of me further into the Amazon jungle. And I thought, no matter what happens, if something happens detrimental, I don't care, because I'm moving forward with something that I believe in. I'm moving forward and I'm living my life to the fullest. I'm absolutely living my life to the fullest. If I'm living my life to the fullest in that moment, everything is okay. Everything is okay. So the question is, are you living your life to the fullest? Are you doing everything you can to find spaces that are inspiring, find spaces that are empowering you, making you feel like you're part of something bigger? And that's what these protests can create. Not only are they creating that for people, if we don't do this, then it is a sign to those who are creating the chaos in our country right now that it's okay, that they're in the right, which they're not. They are not. This isn't working. People are being hurt. People are being harmed. We could be building high-speed rail right now. We could be building infrastructure that is ahead of all other nations. We could create a healthcare program, a preventative program where we are the healthiest and most educated population in the world. We have the resources to do that. Instead, our leaders are creating chaos. It's a reality show nonstop. So what we all get to be is committed to a bigger vision. And that is what the Democrats have not had. And I've spoken on this before. What is the 40-year plan, 30-year plan, 10-year plan, 5-year plan, 3-year plan, right now plan for that greater purpose, the greater vision for America? And what we're going to have to do is end Citizens United, end the corruption that is preventing us from moving that dial forward. We're going to have to get the CEO pay, which is like 350% times what the regular average wage worker is. That is corruption. In the 50s, 60s, even before this, in the 70s, it was 40% difference between the CEO pay and the average worker's pay. Imagine a country. And that's the other thing. We get to have leaders that are going to create a vision and enroll you in the vision of imagining a country where the CEOs are only paid 40 to 50, maybe let's give them 70% of the wage increase over the average worker. I don't know what those numbers are, but the amount of possibility that we could create in this country where the average worker was making only 40%, 50%, 60% less than the CEO, we would have health, we would have education, we would have communities, we would have infrastructure, we would have potholes on our streets. Everything would be elevated. The middle class would be elevated. We would be thriving. We would be building homes. We would be able to create pathways for people who are struggling, to provide them with education. Imagine the world where the United States was the most educated, was the most happy and progressive. Imagine a world right now. And even as I'm saying this, continued on the next video.